Okay, so hello everyone. This video is again another how-to series, right? Useful tips, guide, and practical ways of answering essay questions. So today we are looking at specifically this particular question. It is on chapter 6, right? So we are looking at the military weakness of Germany and Japan was responsible for the end of World War II. How far do you agree with this statement? So always remember when we have an essay question, you need to do the first thing. You need to actually identify the historical concept. And for this specific question, the historical concept, which we take reference to the SEAB syllabus guide, is really about what is conflict, what is World War II. Okay, so always remember at the back of your mind, especially when we do a history essay, it is really about what is the main part of the question asking in terms of the historical concept. Okay, so this was what I meant by looking at the syllabus document. Now, for the next bit is, of course, we look at what is the given factor. So if we're looking at given factor specifically here, we are looking at the military weakness of Germany and Japan. So don't confuse yourself because the question is asking military weakness of Germany and Japan. It will be good to have examples: military weakness of Germany, military weakness of Japan. So just take note, all right, of that. So the given factor, yes, is military weakness, but because your case study is Germany and Japan, so you do need to give the examples from both countries. And of course, the main bulk of the question that they are going to ask is how far do you agree? So what are the keywords? You agree why? You disagree why? And can you at the end of the day say that it's actually military weakness, the given factor, and it could be other factors? Okay, so do remember when you unpack an essay question, take a look at C, which is concept, given factor, and what are the keywords. So again, when we talk about how far do you agree with this statement, we take a look at a few things. Okay, we take a look at what does how far do you agree actually mean. Okay, as candidates, you are essentially being asked to express a degree to which you agree or disagree with the statement, and you must provide reasoning or justification. That means how far do you agree with this statement? There must be a certain criteria that you are measuring the how far. Okay, why do you agree? You agree because of some reason, you disagree because of another reason. Okay, you need to evaluate the statement and express the extent to which you agree or you disagree. That is one aspect of it. And your response could range from complete agreement, it could be even partial agreement, or it could be a complete disagreement. So go back to the question, and when you ask yourself, like, oh, okay, um, was it really the military weakness of Germany as well as Japan? Do you completely agree? Is it a partial agreement, or is it a complete disagreement? Okay, and of course, you support your stance, all right, with relevant arguments, evidence, as well as analysis. Okay, so for this question, let's unpack it paragraph by paragraph. So for the first paragraph, you're going to say, yes, I agree. I agree to a great extent. I agree to a partial extent. All right, I agree. Okay, that the weakness of Germany and Japan was responsible for the end of World War II. So this is what I meant by having example 1, Germany, example 2, Japan. Now, how many examples to give? It literally depends on how much you can memorize. Okay, at the end of the day, the depth or how many examples. Now, linking is the one that is important. Okay, so you can see that I'm answering the question, I'm giving examples. Okay, and when you give examples, you elaborate. Okay, you elaborate how these examples actually show the weakness of Germany and Japan. And finally, you actually link it back. You will be asking, okay, with this military weakness, right? Okay, you you sort of summarize it in totality, but answer the question. Okay, do you think that at the end of it, this particular military weakness was really responsible for the end of World War II? Now, if you do this paragraph well, it is at a level 2 4 marks. Then next is, of course, paragraph 2. You are going to give the alternative factor, okay, which is actually the strength of the allies. You're also going to give examples. So how many examples? Again, it depends. You can either talk about just one example about USA entry and go deep. That means you give me all the different examples. Or it can be role of Soviet. It can also be the ally strategy. So it depends on how much you can memorize, or you're going to have a touch and go. That means you're going to give a variety of examples. All right, that is the meaning of depth versus as many examples. Okay, now next is, of course, the linking, where we talk about the strength of the allies and how it is crucial for the end of World War II. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, well done. It can range from a level 3, 6, 7, or 8. Meaning, if it's just one example here, the German and Japan here, and another one here, let's say you talk about USA entry, then it will be level 3, 6. Okay, why do I say German and Japan? Because it talks about German and Japan. Okay, then level 3, 7 is if you give a bit more, whether it's more examples, whether it's more depth. So that is why it is a range. Now, moving on, this is what I meant. 6 marks for explanation of given, and other reasons. That means one of it is a 6 marks. Additional marks for further details or reasons up to 8 marks, but must include given reasons. That means you have no choice but to give me a good paragraph 1. And then you can give me either example 1, 2, 3 for strength of the allies. And it depends. If you just give me this as well as just example 1, you get 6 marks. You give me maybe a bit more role of Soviet, 7 marks. If you are able to give me all, 8 marks. Or it can be such that under USA entry, you've got many sub-examples also possible. All right. Now, next bit is, of course, your conclusion. Now, if you're able to give paragraph 1, paragraph 2, you already get 6 marks, right? Now, can you see a balanced conclusion that considers relative importance of different reasons is a +2. It's not a +1, +1. Meaning you either make it or you don't in terms of conclusion. Which means paragraph 1, example 1 here, I'm just giving you an example 1, but for this question, you need both example 1 and 2. You need to talk through about Germany and Japan. You need to give paragraph 2, of course, paragraph 2, and for example, okay, the example, and the conclusion, then you would actually get a level 3, 6 plus 2 marks, which is 8 marks. All right, now lastly, when we talk about conclusion, this is what I meant. Okay, you establish a criteria for weighing. Okay, you talk about whether it's historical significance, long-term impact, etc. You give relative importance, which factor had a more profound impact on the historical events. Okay, and you bring it, that's why I asked you to talk about what is the historical context. You bring it to the broader historical context. And if just now it was about World War II and conflict, which of these two factors stopped the conflict? Okay, so conclusion, right? There are 3 ways of doing it. Okay, you could either look for a criteria for comparing between military weakness versus strength of the allies, which is a greater impact. Okay, you can talk about relative importance, meaning, okay, if without allies involvement, do you think that World War II will end? Given that Germany and Japan had profound military weakness, relative importance. Okay, thinking which one would actually really end the war. Right? And lastly is really about which one in historical context really ended the war. So it could even be, you could even specify such that it could be the dropping of the atomic bomb. Okay, and the dropping of the atomic bomb is actually part of Allied strategies. But that one particular significant event in history, okay, which is a sub-example, is the one that literally makes or breaks the decision why Japan decided to surrender. So if you are able to argue that way, it's also possible. Okay, so it's really at the end of the day about how much you can write and how much you can convince the reader about your argument.